What's going on, guys? It's Bandit FX. Today's July 21st, 2021, and in this video, I'm going to be doing a trade recap on the 170 pip swing trade we caught on GJ today. So, taking a look at GJ on the daily time frame, you see that we're having some kind of a bearish movement here. You know, we have this support at just about 149. I'm just going to put this here as a reference so you guys know. Whoops. It brought everything back. But okay, so we had a support level here, right? On the daily. Let me hide all this. And basically what happened is we had this huge rejection here with this bullish candle here. Even though it closed somewhat of a doji, it did close in the upper half to upper third of the entire candle, and we have this huge liquidity grab here to the downside. So price tried to come down and break below these lows over here, but got rejected. As soon as we close bullish here, I do this a lot with crypto, and I've mentioned it in many Forex videos as well. A morning star as well as an evening star. Both of those patterns work more often than not, especially when trying to find a top or a bottom in regards to a swing trade. So um, basically what happened is, if you break it down to the 4-hour time frame, we had this last swing right here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pull up all the analysis. It might get a little busy on the chart here, but I'm going to try to make it so you guys can see it a little bit better. Okay, so what we ended up having is, let me zoom out a little bit more. We had this 4-hour push to the downside, right? I mean, realistically, from a daily standpoint, right, it starts up here. The move really starts from up here. But I'll explain why I'm dropping it down to the 4-hour time frame, because it matches up with price action as well and a previous support resistance level. So we drew the fib down here, right? We saw that price came down, and we kind of consolidated a little bit and then had a huge rejection. This was that daily bottom wick that we were talking about earlier, right? And then price started consolidating again. So one thing you'll notice with markets is that they tend to mirror each other, right? Like this move down, the consolidation and the push down got mirrored on this side. So if you keep that in mind and you understand that, okay, we just had this huge, this massive sell-off. Let's just measure this move, right? So we had this massive sell-off that was 414 pips, on the 4-hour time frame. So that's a pretty big swing, right? So, eventually that move has to get corrected. Like I said before, like we marked this over here, we were in line with all of this major support. So this was a good place for price to bounce and then, create that retracement. So when we took the 4-hour time frame, we drew the fib. We see that the 618 level, which is the golden zone, right? This lines up with the previous support level. And I mean, it was used as support here a little bit as well, on a very minor support, but over here it was used as a major support, right? So knowing that, even though price is down here and we're in an overall downtrend, how can we catch the retracement? Now, usually the 618 is used as your entry, right? Everyone says it's a golden zone. That's where you enter the trades. In this case, because we're going long and we're going against the trend, right? But we know we're at a very, very strong support level down here. We could use the 618 as our profit target. And the reason I'm not using the daily as the profit target is because you want to play it as safe as possible, right? So if we did have the fib drawn way up here, right? Now, the 618 levels 151 600 versus when it was down here at 151 even. Now, not only does 151 even, line up with this previous support resistance level, this very, very strong support that broke, it does have a high chance of turning resistance because it's also a psychological level. It's a very round number. Now, because of that, why would I set my full take profit up here in hopes that it's going to retrace this far to the 618? It may not, So this is where I ended up having, or sorry, actually right here. This is where we ended up actually having, nope, what's the first one? Our fibs placed. So I'm going to put it back to where it was originally. Okay. This is where we had our fibs placed, and this was our profit target. But let's talk about the entry now, right? So breaking it down to the 1 hour time frame. Let's make this a little bit bigger. So now we're not focusing on the big part of it. We're focusing on, how are we going to catch our entry, right? So basically, because if you were to draw the fib like on a lower time frame, on like an hour time frame, right? We broke this low right here. We came all the way down. This full move got retraced. Like this move right here, from here to here, got retraced like completely, 100%. So what that means now is because we have that strong rejection, we have the consolidation to the left, and price starts consolidating again. What are we looking for, right? We're going to draw the long fib now. So we draw from the swing low, which was the absolute bottom of that daily wick, to the swing high, which comes up to here, basically the top of this range. Now, once you do that, a very strong continuation entry other than the 618. A 618 is what you'd call like a healthy retracement. And like a normal uptrend, this would be a healthy retracement for price to continue up. A more aggressive continuation would be 382. So this is the other kind of zone that I would enter on if we get rejections, and especially if price is starting to reverse. When this happens, chances are you're not going to get that pullback all the way to 618 when we had such a strong rejection here. And there really is, this is a very minor level. This is not a very significant level down here. We already tapped into this level and bounced hard. So because we had this strong range here before, I took my entry, or was looking for an entry, at the 382 fib once we had a rejection. So once we had this candle come down here, I actually had a buy limit placed with my stop loss below the 50% fib. Now you could have played this two different ways, and I sent this in the Discord as well, but either the stop loss below the 50 fib for an aggressive entry, or the 618, depending on how aggressive you want to trade this setup. Below the 618 would ensure that if price were to come down to that 618 level, that you would not get stopped out. You would still be in the trade. Yes, you'd sit in some drawdown, but if it were to retrace and kind of have that steeper pullback, you would still have the opportunity to catch the move to the upside. Obviously, the same risk. It's just the overall risk reward would be lower with a less aggressive stop loss. So basically, we took our entry. We were waiting for the price to retest and form on the support to form on the 382 fib to enter long position. Exactly what we had marked out here is exactly what happened. Price then came up, broke above the range. We retested this level, which was basically the top of the range, and then we continued up. Now we closed the full position at just at 151, which you can see we tapped 151. Let's measure this wick. Where is this? 151,009. So within a pip, right? Now you can see price is starting to come down here a little bit, but within that one pip is where we caught that stop loss. It was a beautiful trade, perfect execution. I mean, it really doesn't get any easier or cleaner than this. Obviously, price action is not always going to be this clean. It's not always going to be this easy to read. But this is a perfect example of how to take advantage of Fibonacci, the 618 golden zone, and not only just using it as a entry point, but using it as a resistance when you're trading counter trend on lower time frames. Obviously, this is a daily level, like we were talking about before. I'm going to get rid of these fibs here. But as you can see that, the daily is trending downwards. So we have, we had a high form here. We had a low form here, a high form, and then a low, then a high. Let me just remove all this and do this again. High, low, high, low, high, and there's that low. And that low lines up with this major support level all the way across the board. So overall, what we could see, like I said before, when the market mirrors itself, we can see this pair actually come all the way back up to 153 to basically match this and create like the second shoulder. Like that's best case scenario for the bulls. That's what we're looking at. I mean, obviously, price can continue up and just continue uptrending, but on higher time frames, you will see that the monthly we did just break the low, even though we are we're coming back up into this and we're rejecting this level, you'll see that we had a support formed, right? Big bullish candle. Then we had a resistance formed here, and then we broke the next month's low. So that's a very bearish sign. So I do think we can get a higher time frame pullback on the monthly time frame for GJ. Looking at the weekly, same thing. I think we're going to get that second shoulder, and then, all this clean traffic on the weekly. We should be heading down, like overall sell bias over the next few months on pound yen. But yeah, guys, this was a beautiful example on Fibonacci and basically how effective it can be if you guys know how to use it and you guys know how to incorporate the different time frames. So with that being said, let's remove everything and let's look at the daily fib, because now the price is coming back up. I mean, even though we're on a support, let's see where a possible sell opportunity would be or would line up as far as the daily and the weekly go. So taking a look at the weekly, obviously we're rejecting this area here. Now this is where the weekly should take over versus the daily, and I can see it already, and it's just something you guys are going to see when your eyes trained on this. So this was obviously the end of this move, right? When price breaks above the 236, right? Like if we have an impulse move down and then price comes above a 236 when you have your fib drawn, that means that that move is done, right? So that impulse move to the downside, which broke the lows over here, is done. And now we're starting to retrace. Okay. So we have one of two options. One, that 382 for the more aggressive entry when it flips over, because we're going from a very, very long bullish move for weeks on weeks to a bearish move. But one thing you guys got to understand is looking to the left, we have this big shoulder here, and now we've created a higher high than the previous, but we also created a lower low. So chances are we're going to come to that 618 level, which is the golden zone on the weekly. So let's see here. Where is the box? Okay. So looking at that golden zone right here, right? Look at that. Lines up perfectly with it on the weekly time frame. I mean, I don't even consider um this really being a fib. Like this is not the correct spot to move it because it was just one bullish candle that basically retraced the full move. But overall, it was just a continuation. Like if you were to put this on the monthly time frame, you'll see that this is just one push down, right? The 618 lines up with monthly opens and closes. This is a very, very strong level if you draw it up here, right? So it's all about kind of like a Fibonacci like level is not going to work by itself. You have to see where it fits, right? You have to find confluence in it. Does it line up with price action? Is it lining up with structure? Is it lining up with trends, trend lines, things like that? Once you get all of those things and you're starting to bring all those things together, you're really going to understand that Fibonacci is a very, very useful tool, and it gives you a much better entry than just trading price action alone or trend lines or buying support, things like that. You get a better overall idea of what the bigger picture is. So let's break this down to the daily time frame. Looking at the daily, if this were to be a 382 continuation and we draw this fib on the daily, see the 618 right here? This basically lines up with the 382. So there is some sort of confluence here between the daily and the weekly time frames, but we are not taking any sell positions unless we get that confirmation. Now, obviously, it's only, what is it, Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday. Hold on. It's Wednesday. Wow, I don't even know what day it is. So yeah, these two levels do line up with each other, but if you could see, overall higher time frames, like I'm just going to draw basically the 382 and the 618. I'm going to draw a little box in between here so you guys get to see where this level actually lines up, right? So this was the first one we were talking about, the steeper retracement on the higher time frame, and this is the daily. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these two fibs, and you guys can see where our possible rejection zones are. We have one rejection zone right here at 151,500 basically, and another rejection area here at 153 flat. So, we're either going to get just a full-on breakthrough, right, to the downside, because this pair is overextended. So I mean, it's definitely possible. But the more safer entry and something that I'm going to be looking for on a more long-term trade is I'm going to be looking for price to come up to 153 before we do eventually come back down and break this neckline here at 149. So yeah, guys, that was kind of a trade recap and a little bit of an insight of where I think GJ is going in the future. If you guys like this video, please leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Fibonacci if you use it in your trading. And once again, guys, I'm going to put the Bandit FX Discord link in the description. If you guys want to join, it's totally free. We do these trade analysis videos, trade recaps, breakdowns, everything like that every single day on multiple pairs. It's not just GJ, not just gold, US 30. You know, we do it on everything. Like we have a lot of members that trade different pairs, and you know, you guys can kind of bounce some trade ideas off of each other and things like that. Right now, I believe we're over 450 members. Yeah, we're about 460 members in the Discord now. So, you know, if you guys want to join, just click that link, accept the invite, and you guys can invite anybody that you want. Um, you know, it's a totally public Discord. Invite your friends. You know, if somebody's interested in trading that you know, just go ahead and just send them an invite link. You know, I mean, even if they don't know anything and they can't really contribute any information or charts to the Discord, they can learn something. You know, they could always learn something, and that's like kind of the point of the Discord is for people to learn and kind of profit together. So, once again, guys, this has been Bandit FX. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.